Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's very nice to be on this incredibly cozy stage. My name is Haydn Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Keep Calm and Shoot in Ukraine, which is a discussion about the state of documentary filmmaking in Ukraine that's been organized in conjunction with the British Council, who, in my experience of working with them over the years, it's been wonderful to see it's not about exporting British culture, but actually about building between different cultures internationally. I'm very happy to have all our guests on stage today. And thinking about this event, I thought when a country becomes the subject of a specific current affair around the world in the media, people tend to ignore everything else that's happening in that country and just focus on that one thing. And I think when it comes to documentary filmmaking, the environment, the landscape of films in that country are so much more diverse than the issue at hand. And in this case, it's the civil unrest that's unfolded in Ukraine since 2013. But as Oleksandr is going to discuss shortly, Ukraine has a rich and long heritage of cinema, both fiction and documentary in the country. And although the conflict may have problematized the situation of production there, it still is happening in different ways, and that's something we're going to discuss. The guests we have here today, on my far left, is Roman Bondarchuk, who is both a filmmaker and the artistic director of Docudays UA. To his right, Pylyp Illienko is the head of the Ukrainian state film agency. To my left, Oleksandra Mykolyshyn, is the head of promotion department at the Oleksandr Dovzhenko National Center, which I've been told is actually the most successful state-run organization. To my right, I have Serhiy Bukovsky, the acclaimed documentary filmmaker who's made films such as Spell Your Name, The Living, and most recently Ukraine, When the Countdown Began. And to his right, we have Valentyn Vasyanovych, another documentary filmmaker whose films include Business as Usual, Credence, and Crepuscule from 2014. And he was also the cinematographer and the editor on the hugely acclaimed fiction film, The Tribe. And Anna from British Council Ukraine will do some translation for us. The format over the next hour or so is not just a straightforward Q&A. We've got a few presentations. I'm going to ask some questions to our guests, but I'm very keen to get you involved. So even though I'll be saying at certain points if you have any questions, if you actually hear something that you want to respond to, please do put your hand up and we'll take your comments as we go along. To start, I'd like to hand over to Roman, who's going to talk about Docudays UA.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your interest. I'm going to start with a few pictures and videos. This is the festival we are running in Kyiv. It's plenty of people there. Each year, it's in the last week of March, we have a week of documentary films, and then we travel in all over Ukraine, more than 150 cities and towns. This is a number of people we had this year. We are proud of our design. Each year we are trying to catch the most urgent and most important issue what is going on in the country, and this year's topic was propaganda, and this was like propaganda is a weapon. It was a promotional spot, very artistic. I'm not going to show it at all, but it's developing the battle tank on the photo. Okay, this is awards. It's they made of real weapon cartridges we delivered from frontline to Kyiv and turned them into statues. So if you ever win the prize on Docudays, you'll get some nice stuff like that. In a year before, we had rocks from Maidan, which was thrown to Berkut. We made statues out of them. This is DocuClass. It's our initiative. We started to educate our filmmakers, and we invite in experienced filmmakers from all over the world. This year we had Lars Skrig, who is a DOP of Joshua Oppenheimer and people like him. This is Docu Kids section. It's new. We started this year to show documentaries for kids, and this is the room where they had like editing experience and stuff like that. This is Docu Parties. Yeah, but it wasn't always like yeah, hangover. In 2003 we had a few people in screening halls, and the most common question was, could you please screen this film again so I can understand it. That's how we realized that we need to build our audience, and of course we managed to build it with great films. And the first film which attracts people to our boring human rights event was English Surgeon by Jeffrey Smith. You know this film? It's about friendship between English surgeon and Ukrainian surgeon, and we had a very good media coverage, many interviews with the Ukrainian guy. And in 2011 we picked up another Chelsea as opening film for Docudays. It was quite challenging decision because it was all corrupted and all controlled by Yanukovych. And the film is about the guy, young oligarch, who was about to be the new face of Yanukovych party. And we dared to screen it, and after that it was huge discussion in Ukraine about his wealth and incomes and things like that, and his career went down after this discussion, so we are still happy about that. Later on in 2012 we had pit number 8, Estonian director Mariana Kat. It's about illegal mining. Coal mining in the east of Ukraine, and it also was combined not only the screening but also like crowdfunding campaign to help these kids to get better education and to start a new life. And it was also a scandal around this film because Ukrainian co-producer, she was so afraid of possible consequences after the screening, so she prohibited to ban this film and said you can't screen it. But finally we found the legal way to screen it, and had a great success with it. We also do sort of performances. In 2013 we just paid to real Berkut forces. It's special police forces, but they were all corrupted, so you could pay money and ask them to do whatever you want. So we organized this crazy opening, like they came and prohibited the festival at all. It's still very popular on the internet, and people say that we predicted Maidan by this spot. What else? In 2014 we made our own film. The team of Docudays UA, we decided to cut the films especially for opening ceremony, and we asked our filmmakers we know to cut their at least small episodes from their filming, because it was very short time after Maidan and no one had any cuts. And they sent us some materials, and we made Euromaidan rough cut because no one had no conclusions or ideas. It was too short time after Maidan, only 1 month. So we call it rough cut. And it was, I can show you the trailer. It was selected to ITFA, and it's still running all over the world. We have some side projects. The traveling festival, I already told you, already told you that it travels all over Ukraine. We have partners in almost in all cities. We still screen our films in Crimea, for example, on some occupied territories. Thanks to our partners. This is Docu Club. It's a brand new project. We are trying to establish clubs which constantly, like working clubs, and we deliver all the materials, packages for them. And this is DocuSpace. It's an online platform where we screen films which we're producing. So we also do programming and support Ukrainian films. Sometimes we do fixing or support of foreign filmmakers who is coming to Ukraine. And this is our catalog. We made it specially for Sheffield and with kind support of Ukrainian film agency. So you are very welcome to pick up your own copy there. It's all films in last 2 years which was produced and still in production. Thank you.
Before I come to Pylyp to talk about the state's situation with film, I'm curious from my two filmmakers on the right about, first of all, you, Serhiy, who you've worked in documentary film since the 1980s. Could you talk a little bit about how you feel it's changed, and particularly in the last few years, the difficulties that you've had as a filmmaker?
Okay. Anna helped me to translate. It's a very complicated subject. I'm not a film critic, I'm a film director. I'm based on my personal experience about documentary. That's really true. I started to work in documentary cinema in perestroika time. It was unique time because everybody, society and country forget about us and we do what we want. And сегодня мне кажется, что, оглядываясь назад, что все как-то вернулось в исходную точку. Но это мое персональное мнение.
My feeling about today is actually that we returned back to the point of in 80s.
Это очень субъективно, это мое персональное ощущение.
It is very subjective, my personal opinion.
Приблизительно в 90-е годы, начало 90-х.
So we kind of back to in 90s.
Я постараюсь быть очень кратким, но вот, на мой взгляд, существует два пути для того, чтобы делать документальное кино и оставаться в профессии.
I'll try to be very brief, but as I see it, there are kind of only two ways to stay in profession in Ukraine and continue making films.
Если как бы ты очень хочешь что-то сделать, то ты берешь камеру, слава богу, они уже у нас есть, Canon, Sony.
If you want to make a film, you basically, as a director, pick up your own camera, and I mean, luckily there is a choice. I mean, you can buy things now you wouldn't be able earlier, but yeah, you have to do it on your own.
И начинаешь снимать, и не ждешь никаких благ из каких-то, так сказать, там фондов, дверей и организаций, что тебе кто-то поможет.
So you're not looking for any funding, you're not looking for any support from anyone, just you're picking up your camera and start filming your project.
И вторая возможность, с этим сложнее, в моей жизни это происходит все реже и реже, но иногда происходит, что вдруг у кого-то когда-то в какой-то голове созреет идея что-то сделать, и тебя позовут.
Another opportunity is, of course, the opportunity which happens to me rarer and rarer, is that somebody gets an idea and has some funding and just asks you to come and help.
Вот, собственно, и все, потому что телевидение, поскольку Шеффилд — это телевизионная все-таки история, это телевизионный фестиваль, телевидение и документальное кино у нас в стране не пересекаются.
Unfortunately, in our country, the TV and documentary films, they don't cross really. So
можно долго говорить, почему эта взаимосвязь не происходит. Это очень длинная, наверное, очень скучная тема.
It's probably quite a boring theme why it doesn't happen.
Но недавно мне один журналист спросил, что было, вопрос невероятно был оригинальный, что было смешного вот на съемочной площадке в вашей жизни.
Not recently, I got a question from one of the journalists, one of the really funny questions, and the question was about the funniest moment that happened with you on the filming field.
Я говорю, само по себе уже смешно, что мы делаем то, что практически никто не видит.
Serhiy said that the funny thing is that that we create the product that basically nobody sees.
То, что показал Роман сейчас, безусловно, единственная как бы локация, если можно так сказать, в Украине, в Киеве, это Docudays фестиваль, где можно увидеть хорошее кино.
So what Roman showed is basically Docudays is the only platform that allows good films to be shown to the audiences in Ukraine.
И чуть позже, сейчас будет говорить Валентин, я покажу фрагмент из фильма, который вот сейчас заканчиваю.
And a little later, after Valentyn probably finish his talk, I can show a film. Part of the film that.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Это фильм о рок-музыкантах, очень известной в Украине рок-группе «Океан Эльзы». Это вот история об этих музыкантах.
It's a film about the Океан Эльзы. It's one of the really important bands in Ukraine, and so it's the story about them.
И вторая работа, которую я делаю, она есть в каталоге, это говоря о том, что вот бери камеру и снимай, это фильм о моей маме, я ее снимаю сам.
And another film that is actually is in the catalog. It's the work in progress, and it's my story about my mom, who used to be an actress.
Я не знаю, интересно ли это европейскому сообществу, но вот мы приехали узнать, услышать вас в основном.
I don't know whether it is interesting to the European filmmakers, but I guess we'll hear it from you.
Thank you.
We're going to see Ohi backstage, Serhiy's film, a little later on. But Valentyn, thinking about what Serhiy said of these two forms of filmmaking and the fact that you've been so prolific, you've produced a film every year for the last few years, and working on The Tribe, is your approach to filmmaking the first form, you just go out yourself with a camera and that's what you do to produce a film?
Я понял. Ну, я, пожалуй, добавлю еще, я совершенно согласен с двумя вариантами, которые озвучил Серхий, но есть еще третий вариант, который, в общем, достаточно комфортный, такая зона комфорта, это поддержка госкино.
I completely agree with Serhiy about the two forms of filmmaking that do exist. I think there's the third one. It's a very comfortable one. It's when you get actually some state support from the state film agency.
Вот. Ты не должен ориентироваться на желание там, телеканалов, заказчиков. Ты делаешь фильм, делаешь его совершенно как хочешь. Важно, чтобы фильм получился качественный, интересный, ну и тебя, в общем-то, обеспечивает Госкино полная поддержка.
So when you get that state funding, you actually you are in a very quite comfortable situation because you don't have to rely on demands of the producer, TV station. You're just making the film that you want to make. And it has to be a quality product in the end. That's the only demand.
Все последние проекты были сняты при поддержке Госкино. Это как и игровые фильмы, так и документальные фильмы. И мы сейчас находимся, в принципе, в подготовке следующего полнометражного фильма Мирослава Соборшвицкого «Люксембург».
So all my last works, I mean both documentary and feature and fiction feature, they were made with the support of the state film, with the support from the film state agency, and And right now we are actually preparing for our work with Miroslav Slobodspitsky. It's the director of Tribe, the Tribe. We're working on preparing for the new film called The Luxembourg. Luxembourg.
Да, и это единственный способ снимать авторское кино.
So this is the only way to actually produce and film authors film.
Art house films.
Oh yeah, okay.
Philip, let's come to you. As head of a Ukraine state film agency, with the recent political upheavals, your job must be something of a challenge.
Yes, it is, and it always was, actually. For us, of course, the very influential issue which has great importance for us is the general situation in the state, in the country, and of course when we are at war, it's always a problem to persuade everybody that we need to continue to the state funding of cinema production and some projects in the field of cinema, as we support the Docudays and many other events in the film and film industry. But nevertheless, last year and the beginning of this year, we had quite a lot of premieres of our new films, and at least 2 of them were great successes. One of them is The Tribe, which had a great success on the international level and got enormous amount of prizes and was sold to many countries for distribution. And the second is The Guide. One of the producers is Igor Savichenko, is present with us today. And this was a national blockbuster. It set a record, box office record for national production in Ukraine. So we have a good perspective, and the only problem we have now is that we need to change the rules of the game, the legislation, and we also need to raise more money from the state budget, because the finance we are operating now is just enough to renew and continue the projects which were postponed last year due to all these problems we had last year. Now we are capable of continuing to support them, and I hope that they will be already finished, even some of them by the end of this year. And we are, of course, working on the perspective issues with the government, like additional financial support this year and next year, and also studying the experience of many other European countries when the film funds are funded by special taxation. Like in Britain, there is some money from the lotteries is coming to support film, and for example in Poland and in France, it's some money from the theaters and from the TV commercials. So we are studying and we're making like perspective laws which are connected with these schemes, and I think that they have a good perspective now in Ukraine, and this will change a great deal the situation and let us launch the new projects, and we will be opened also for the international cooperation. We are also working with the help of the British Council, by the way, on the issue of joining the Eurimage Fund, and we are also working on the issue of joining the media program of European Union, and it's on the way now. But also some issues which are very particular now with the film industry in Ukraine is that the audience is changing greatly and very rapidly. Usually the audience was targeted on the foreign films, including the TV series and etc. Now there is a great demand for local films, local productions of all formats and all genres, and there is also a way to find an effective cooperation with TV channels now. Really, the situation was not very good for documentary films on TV and for feature films on TV, I mean the Ukrainian ones. But now the situation is greatly changing, and we are now building up like an effective interface between our producers and our TV managers, and we are regularly organizing like the same kind of discussions where we see the top managers of the largest TV channels, our producers, and we help them to find cooperation and to help each other to make a product which would be interesting for the audiences. Because as one of the top managers of largest channel said like a week ago when we had a discussion, he said that it's the first time for his career as a manager of TV channel that a Ukrainian producer came to him and asked for an advice. What is the what content is your channel interested in? Actually, what should I produce for you to buy it? And this is a good news. So we are building up our own market. And I think that we have a great perspective in that also. So we see though we have not very good times now, but we see the light in the end of the tunnel, and we are moving towards that direction.
I want to come back to, you mentioned audiences. Oleksandr, if I can bring you in at this point, and if you can talk a little bit about the Oleksandr Dovzhenko National Center, and then I'll sort of ask about the bigger picture and how that fits in.
Can I have the presentation, please?
This is The Living Fire, and it's followed by a clip from another film, All Things Ablaze, which is showing tomorrow night. The reason we wanted to show these, as you'll see if you go onto the DocuSpace website, again, it's emphasizing this fact. It's not just to watch films about a current conflict, it's to watch films about an entire culture. Again, it's two very diverse films, and the reason I think they work within what you're about to talk about is the fact that Ukraine does have an incredibly rich cinematographic culture and history.
Yes, of course. I'm representing the state enterprise Oleksandr Dovzhenko National Center. We have seen the trailers of the two fantastic late works from our cinematographers, and the state enterprise is combining two things. We are the State Film Archive and a copying laboratory. Can I have a slide, please? Yeah. Okay. So a little bit of a history. Before the 1999, all the films and negative prints that were produced in Ukraine went to Moscow, to the Gosfilm Fund, State Film Fund of the USSR. Later, after the 1991, when Ukraine has gotten the independence, so all the films were preserved or the studios they were made. And 1994 there was an archive organized, created, and in 1999 it was merged with the film copying laboratory. So de facto we are like Ukrainian cinematic, combining to the factory printings, laboratory, different activities of promotion, etc. The biggest archive in the country. We collect about 6,000 titles from them, also the fiction, the animation, documentary films, everything, from 1909 till nowadays. By this law of the cinematic, all the films which are done by now with the governmental support are also stored here. So we have the huge archive, and 1,000 of them are from the documentaristic theme. And since 2009, we are the member of the Film Federation of Archives, the only organization in Ukraine with such a status. And we are supported by the Ministry of Culture and by the Ukrainian State Film Agency, which funds different activities and promotions abroad also. Our film laboratory is working for the 60 years, and it consists of specialists on these different types of the works, and the first color works were done here. All the printings and panoramic and widescreen positive prints also was done here. By now, of course, it's not so popular to do the 35 millimeters, and we try to digitalize it, and we plan to do a lot in this area. And by now, we are doing the printings for some modern Ukrainian films which are doing on the 35 millimeters. Talking about our activities, so as I told already, Restoration Laboratory, it restaurates, develop color correction, editing, and digitalizing in progress. So as I told, all films are stored here, so it's like the national heritage over here in the one place. Film distribution. We have a department of promotion, which I am the head of, and we have such activities to distribute. For example, we are doing the weeks of Ukrainian shorts collection, the best from the best festivals. For example, from Ukrainian festivals or the winners of the international, we do the collection, and we promote it among the Ukraine within the different cinemas. Also, we do the distribution of the features, which are in archive. I mean. Another activity is silent films accompanied by the modern music. We have done already 10 projects like this. We call it Circle of the Dziga Vertov, because the first film was from the Dziga Vertov, and we are doing the new modern score, for example, like jazz or contemporary or even DJs or something like from the clubs. And we combine it with the mute films from 1920, Ukrainian avant-garde films, the best, I think, from those years, with a modern score, like you see from the eyes of the musician of the modern music. We attract a lot of people by doing this, such a performance on the biggest film festivals in Ukraine and even abroad. We went to Pordenone Film Festival, it's a mute film festival, for 2 times with a big retrospective. We bring about 5 and then 8 films with musicians doing the performance. It was a really good opportunity to show another point of Ukraine. International promotion also is very important for us because our team is doing represents Ukraine among the film festivals, doing the retrospecture. For example, by half a year, this year we have done already 14 countries with different events, doing retrospectures of the 14 to 8 different films in the one box. And also we are doing and handling, managing Ukrainian pavilions and stands among the film markets, such like Cannes or Berlinale Film Festival. We are doing the catalog of Ukrainian films, not only documentary, but it's like a Ukrainian Bible with all the films from feature, animation, shorts, work in progress, everything, etc., with contacts, with the straight numbers and emails even. So it's the best way to communicate with all Ukrainian film workers. It doesn't matter whether the film was supported by the government or it was an independent director. And to my mind, this international promotion is very important to represent and to be in contact and to see the different other experiences, how people promote and do the films, and to connect. We are like the umbrella, we call ourselves like the Ukrainian ambassadors. We are over there like connecting people. We also do the publications because we have our cinema scientists, as we call them. They develop different researches on the interesting themes. For example, this August we are going to publish our Ukrainian album of the posters of the 20s. So it's more than 100 posters from those years were collected, restored, developed, translated. Some articles were written, then translated, and there will be a fantastic album of such a thing. So we do, as I told already, the catalog, different booklets, leaflets, researches on the themes, even such as small like the posters. So it's very popular right now, the postcards and the posters. We also do the DVDs. It's not the time for the DVDs, I think, but it's still popular in Ukraine. So we are doing the DVDs with some avant-garde films with the music score. For example, you can see it on the performance, and then you can buy the same disc, and we plan to do it digitally, to do it in like digital edition on the web or something. It would be more popular for me, I think, because we are all developing in IT, so it's not so popular to have. Some computers even doesn't have the DVD-ROM, so it's not possible to see it. So as I told already, we restore, we research, we develop, we do the things to promote Ukrainian films, and we are open to any contacts because we have a lot of films, different ideas and interesting contacts. So I have my card also over there with my contact personal and into departments for my colleagues. If you have any question later, I will be glad to talk about it.
Going forward, you talk about new technologies, and we've already seen a clip of Roman's collaborative film, Euromaidan Uncut, and also All Things Ablaze. Has there been talk about witness footage of people who've been recording with their own cameras and with their own mobile phones and gathering all that information together? I know that some archives around the world are thinking about doing this at the moment, but just trying to sort of work out how, with the amount of information and the amount of footage they're going to have.
You mean only the Maidan events?
Well, it may start with the Maidan events, but outside that.
No, as for me, there must be the online resource, like the Mosfilm have done already. I've seen it on the web. They have done the website, web archive. You can go in and just see all the films. That's the main idea for me, to digitalize it, to be open for audience. We plan it, of course, but by now it's not so possible to handle such a web resource or something. We plan, but we will see how we will manage it to do it.
Any questions or comments? Okay, I'll move on. Actually, I'll come to you, Roman. It's sort of with the same question. With
There is a question, I believe.
oh, yes, sorry.
No, I just wanted to follow up on your question, and I was wondering, just in this really era where everybody has a camera and everybody has, you know, a phone where you can film, and I think a lot of people started thinking about just trying to capture this, and a lot of amateurs come up. I was wondering if there is any kind of, you know, a kind of splash of new people in the film who turn to this media and sort of search for the opportunities to make more films, to express themselves through this media.
As for me, for the last, I'm in this business for the last 5 or something years. I see, as we are making these catalogs, I know it very well from the scene, because different parts of the catalog are divided by the colors. So I see shorts, for example, are bigger this year, or features are less. So I see how is growing the short film part of it, because when we started there was like 3 or 4 films of the features produced, and now we have about 20 something, and it's really huge. But this generation of people who are filming are developing. I see it through my eyes from those years, because those people were filming their first shorts, and I was looking and waiting where there will be one first feature or something. It's really a huge community growing up right now in Ukraine. It's really a good question, yes. And they are filming much better, and they are going for studying, then they come back and they are improving themselves. They are applying for all these different type of pitchings and master classes or some sort of the studying, and then they come back and they film again, and they're improving the quality of their works. And yeah.
I would just to follow the comment that all this availability of filming stuff, all of the cameras which are all over you, you know, in your phone or whatever, in your car, this gave, when the society is coming through such events like we are now coming through, everyone is filming whatever is happening around him, and sometimes they get much more emotional shots and frames rather than the professionals do. But it's not a question of, it's a question of sort of a difference, whether it's the artistic value or whether it's informational value as the witnessing of something very, very, very
like the
deeply emotional,
like
chronicles. For example, every soldier at war has the mobile phone with a camera, and sometimes you can see on the YouTube the terrible shots, shots, you know.
Actually, Sergei, this is this is something I've read in an interview with you where you talk about the fact that anyone can shoot because they have the technology in front of them, but not everyone can make a film. And to a degree, there's a sense of a loss of artistry. Yeah, yes.
Каждый берет камеру, но при этом теряется художественная часть, да, то есть мастерство и художественный элемент заменяется.
В чем вопрос?
Ну вот вопрос,
вообще?
Мнение просто на этот счет.
Ну, то, что снимают, наверное, это хорошо, и пусть снимают, но количество перерастет в качество рано или поздно.
It's very good that I mean there are so many people that are filming. I just hope that the quantity of the material that is being filmed sooner or later will turn into quality.
Ну, я думаю, что еще одна из самых больших и глобальных проблем вообще украинского кино это образование.
One of the weakest points of the Ukrainian filmmaking is, of course, the state of the current education in the country. And all the problems that Ukrainian filmmaking is facing, they're actually starting right. They're starting right there.
Okay, thank you.
Roman, just thinking about Docudays and DocuSpace particularly, have you looked at that as a platform that can be used for people who are, it's not just developing shorts, but communities of people who want to present their own story? In a way, like Maiden, Euromaiden you worked with 9 other directors on producing what's essentially a series of personal interpretations of what was happening.
In a way, behind every film is one idea, and it must be an artist or editor or whatever who will put everything in some order to tell the story. And I totally agree with Oleksandra that now we have a new generation who can travel, who can study, who can film like universal films, not only for local people and local market. And I see the future in it. And concerning DocuSpace, it's another thing. It's our way to make short documentaries. The idea behind DocuSpace is in cooperation with the Human Rights Foundation. When Filmmaker has an idea what to film, and this idea is somehow connected to the main activity of Human Rights Foundation, he can cooperate and take not big money, but up to 20,000 euro. It's possible, and we have a very good example. For example, with Marina Vroda, who is a prominent Ukrainian filmmaker. She made a film, and it has a huge artistic value despite of human rights topic. So it's another possibility to film in Ukraine, because our human rights international organizations are quite rich, and the idea to cooperate with them is interesting.
Philip, I want to come back to you about the sort of the bigger picture of what's happening with state funding of film. And I know there's someone in the audience who knows a great deal about the situation in Greece. I'm working with filmmakers in Greece. And I'm just curious of going forward, that it appears we're in a stalemate at the moment in the political situation. The economic situation, you said that you're coming out of a tunnel potentially. If this stalemate continues, do you see that there are going to be opportunities that can be created, just knowing that the situation will remain the same? Or do you feel that in the longer term that this is just going to pose an ongoing problem and perhaps create more limitations?
I don't think that the situation will remain the same, because for the last year and a half it was changing rather rapidly, and a lot was happening all the time. So I believe I'm like a cautious optimist, you know. But nevertheless, I don't really agree with Serhiy that we got back to the beginning of 90s for one reason. Maybe emotionally we did that, but in a practical way, now our film industry is in totally different stage because we have now not only the talented and creative people who are ready, which we had always, yes, but we are now having all the necessary technical and logistic resources to produce any kind of complicated productions. We have the people in post-production, we have people who are doing animation, we have also a wide selection of technical equipment which is available for a good price. And we also have professional English-speaking crews which are available for working. And all the country, you have to understand that there is not a war all over the country. It's only a small part of the country which is now experiencing what we all know, but the rest of the territory is quite comfortable for coming and making films there. So keep calm and shoot in Ukraine. Well, and I believe that in the meantime we will work out a new, more obvious and open rules for applying for public finance, and this will be done very shortly, I believe. And we will be expecting also the people coming with the co-production projects to Ukraine. For that, of course, we will need you to contact our local producers, and they would apply for public finance.
I just wanted to add that we have also the catalog of Ukrainian co-production companies, so like a Bible of the contacts, where we have all the services and facilities and locations, where to shoot, how to shoot, with whom, and it's really, as Philip, I agree, told already, come and shoot in Ukraine, because we have good locations, it's cheap for European people also, so contact us and I can give you the contact of the catalog, I mean.
Any questions? Yes. We've just got a mic coming over.
I would like in general to ask, I'm afraid I'm not too knowledgeable about the status of the state funding in Ukraine. So is it the larger part of the film funding in the film industry in the Ukraine, the state-funded one? And is there some sort of intervention from the state in the decision-making? Because I do come from Greece, and it's a very disorganized place, and there's also a constant sort of moaning from young filmmakers that they never get any sort of money from the state. They have to source everything independently, and all the perhaps if you've seen any recent Greek successes outside the country, they're all independent. Nothing. The state usually goes to the already accomplished filmmakers. So how is perhaps an outline of how it works more practically in the Ukraine, because you seem to be very organized, which is something to be envied, actually. So thank you.
Well, to give you, that's very important thing you have to know about Ukrainian film industry. It is greatly divided into absolutely different parts, but which are using the same technical and talent base. First is the Ukrainian films, which are culturally and artistically somehow connected with Ukraine. And there is a lot of films and TV series which are made in Ukraine but are not Ukrainian, which were done mostly for the Russian market because it was rather cheaper and even sometimes the quality was higher, to do it in Ukraine. And there's a whole bunch of production and service companies which were aimed and working on that sphere. But now, of course, because of the political reasons, the cooperation is getting lower, but still exists. So that films made in Ukraine, they were all privately financed or financed by Russian TV channels and some other funds. So we didn't finance it from public money. From public money, we finance Ukrainian films and the co-production films, which correspond to the European Convention on the, and that they not oftenly cross even those two parts. So this is the first thing. And everyone made their choice which industry to work in. Sometimes people worked in both, so it's very complicated issue. But we do support young filmmakers, and we even have a grant from our president each year. It's not big money, but we pick one or two young filmmakers, which directors who haven't done their first even short film, and we give them some money to just support them on their first, filming experience. And we also have the on our pitchings, we have the special selection of supporting the debuts, so the first films, which could be, in some cases, even financed 100% by public money. And that is the general rules we have, actually.
And what about exhibition, particularly when it comes to documentary film, exhibition and distribution?
Well, that's that is a very complicated issue now, because, of course, most of the documentary films which were publicly financed, they are highly artistic and more were pointed at the festival successes and the artistic recognition, and that is a little bit a problem with the TV decision makers, yes, because they want slightly other, not slightly, but completely other approach and completely other product. But nevertheless, the TV channels do finance last couple of years, some projects which are documentary and but more like more educational, more like storytelling about some history or some popular stuff. So they're doing that for their own money. But now we are looking ways of cooperation with them to find like some, as I told, to find the understanding between our producers who want their films to be on TV actually now, and the audience which wants to see and to hear stories about the problems which are interesting for the audience. And we are ready to support such films, like in co-production with TV channels. So we want them to give part of finance, and we will just help if we have finance, and I believe that the day we will have it, we will do that. And I hope that day will come very soon. At least we are working on that.
We have another person in the audience, Nadia Parfan, who runs 86 Procat, which is the only documentary distribution company, I believe, in Ukraine. Oleksandr mentioned the issues with digital distribution, and some people still prefer DVD. But I'm just curious about the proportion of Ukrainian films that you actually, documentaries that you actually release in relation to all the other films.
Okay, I'll go here. Actually, I'm optimistic about that too, so I could say keep calm and distribute in Ukraine, and a little bit of the context. Indeed, it's very difficult now for film in Ukraine in many ways, but think of the numbers. We have 300 screens, theaters. It's not much for a country like Ukraine, 45 million people, but if you go to Europe, where you have all these tiny countries, we are quite big. So we are the market, we are growing and expanding, and we jumped in this market just a year ago, and I must say it has been a success, and it's a very good moment for distribution. What happened is that the Russian films, I mean, the market is dominated by majors, by 4 big American studios, and also used to be dominated by Russian films, and now they left because of the political situation, and there is this tiny void where we are trying to jump in with creative documentaries. We will be releasing Russian Woodpecker, which is playing tonight at 6:30, and I believe we will have up to 20 screens nationwide. We use a slightly different scheme in terms of finance. We don't commission, we don't buy films, but we share the box office. And I mean, it's growing, and we started at a point when documentary what? Like, are you seriously these National Geographic Discovery movies about how bees have sex? Not really. We are doing creative documentaries. It can be sophisticated, look beautiful, be fun and entertaining. And there is, I would say that Ukrainian audience is really open-minded. Things like music documentaries have big success. Everything related to Ukraine, of course, like Russian Woodpecker that was shot in Chernobyl. And we also released, for instance, Trains of Thoughts, a musical film about metro systems around the world. So, yeah, keep calm and distribute in Ukraine. We also have a film festival not far away from Chernobyl. It's specialized in creative documentaries about cities, urban issues, environment, and nuclear issues, because that's what Ukraine is famous for. And if you want to make a film in Chernobyl, about Chernobyl, or something nuclear, I'm here, and we are happy to, to distribute you later. And yeah, I'm quite optimistic about that. And sorry, coming back to your question, digital distribution. A lot of times it's very hard for us to talk to film sales agents from Europe because of the piracy issues, and we are like labeled as this piracy territory on the map. But I must say that it actually helps and contributes to theatrical distributions. We had this film Putin's Games once. It's about the Olympic Games in Sochi, and it was online on torrents everywhere. And it was actually the director of the theater, Zhovten Cinema, the oldest cinema in Kyiv, which got burned, unfortunately, but will be re-inaugurated this fall. So it's...
Keep calm.
Keep calm. And Ludmila just suggested that we distribute this film because we liked it, and we said, come on, it's on torrents, everybody saw it, it was at Docudays, and she said, just trust me. And we, of course, as young people, trusted her, and it was a big success. I mean, for 3 weeks it was in cinemas, and people would go and go. So don't be afraid of piracy. It's like a good PR strategy.
Thank you. We're going to see 2 clips now by our filmmakers. First of all, Serhiy, you briefly mentioned earlier OE Backstage. This is a work in progress.
The film, okay, thank you. Film almost done, and now sound mixing and color correction, and I hope in a month, maybe in 2 months, it will be released. And this film was done exactly for movie theater, not for TV. I hope it will be very soon. Future will show. It's a documentary not only about the rock music or rhythms of the rock. It's a film about relationship and about the time of about today, because the Ocean Elves it's amazingly popular in Ukraine, and we were shooting last year during the tourney through the Ukraine, Kyiv, Odessa, Kharkov. The only one concert was Delight in Donetsk because it started military events in the east of Ukraine.
And Valentyn, we're going to follow that then with Crepuscule, your film from 2014. Could you talk a little bit about the inspiration for this film?
Ну, несложно было черпать вдохновение. Дело в том, что герои этого фильма мои родственники, это моя родная тетка и двоюродный брат.
It wasn't difficult to find inspiration for my story because I'm related to people I was filming. It's my aunt and a cousin.
Да, и это уже не первый фильм про них. 10 лет назад я снял фильм, тоже удачный достаточно.
It's not the first story I'm filming about those people. It's actually a second one. The first time I attempt was 10 years ago and was actually quite successful.
Вот, и когда я в очередной раз приехал в гости, я увидел, что вот фильм нужно снимать быстро.
When I came to visit them some time ago, it was clear to me that it's the time to make a film about them, and I had to do it very fast.
Вот, и я знаю, главный секрет документального кино, чтобы кино было хорошее, его нужно снимать год.
Now I know the secret how to make a really good documentary. You need to film it for 1 year.
Вот, и я начал ездить, съездил раз, 20 вылазок сделал на локацию к моим родственникам и за год снял фильм.
So I made 20 visits to the location. 20 times I visited my relatives, and over a year I made a film.
Вот, наверное, как-то так.
So that's probably the story behind it.
Okay, let's see these 2 clips, please. It's a really beautiful film. I think it would make the perfect double bill with the Maisel brothers' Grey Gardens, family relationships. You've all had some experience or other with festivals around the world and working with films that have gone off to festivals. I'm just curious, going on from something that Nadia said about the not huge numbers of cinemas available throughout the whole of Ukraine. And perhaps, Oleksandra, you could answer this first. How important are festivals for a Ukrainian audience?
I wanted to mention 2 biggest festivals in Ukraine. Firstly, we have Molodist Film Festival, which is dedicated to the debuts, only the debuts, first student or first feature, first documentary, anything. And Odessa Film Festival, which has different programs and master classes and small market even. So this is a good approach for Ukrainians to be represented inside the country. And speaking about the international promotion, I think that our growing up film specialists are already there. So maybe 5 years ago, we need to talk a lot about it among the community. This is important, this is necessary, you need to be there, you need to be shown, you need to be known, contact people, share the experience. By now, I think our community has grown already. They all are in the festivals, and we have this fantastic experience of the feature film Tribe, 43 Grand Prix and first prizes all over the Earth. So so it's fantastic, and Ukraine is known, and it's really a good approach to promote and to find a project. And I really advise to take a look at the Molodist Film Festival, for example, for screening. If you have any debuts or some young directors can apply, because they are bringing people together for the week, and they are having some meetings and sessions also.
And maybe just give some more exact figures about the distribution market in Ukraine. We have now 410 screens, and this is obviously not enough for such a big country. We had slightly more. We had over 460 before the annexion of Crimea and the war in the east. The amount has fallen by 80, but now it is growing back again. And the figures show us that last year, nevertheless, the country was experiencing severe problems. The amount of people going to the cinemas is still growing, basically because the going to cinema is the most affordable recreation. And the box offices are also growing, at least in hryvnia, in local currency equivalent. So And there is a serious shift to national product. If national product appears and it's decent, people are anxious to buy tickets and watch this movie. And really, the amount of Russian films is slightly less, basically because we are prohibiting to show propaganda films in Ukraine. Mostly it concerns TV, of course, and all those TV series about Russian soldiers and Russian policemen, but sometimes it is also connected with the screenings in the theaters. So this is a general information about the distribution market, of course. We have like also special markets for special niches and special screens, which are very good with the art house films. The amount is about 30 to 50 all around the country, and this could be a platform for the documentaries also. Because generally, of course, documentary cinema is not a format for the theatrical screenings, with slight exceptions, of course, which also prove the general rule.
I just wanted to add, maybe you will tell me if I'm not wrong. As for me, also, we have a problem with the cinemas in such a way that not all the cinemas are with a digital projection. So this is also important to understand that.
This is not a problem anymore, because most of the cinemas I've listed are already with video projector. Okay. It's affordable. Of course, they still have the film projections, some of them, and if you have a print on film, you might get some screens more easily, but it is not a general problem now. The problem is in the other way, that these 410 screens, they're concentrated in big cities. So, for example, in small towns, most of them don't have cinemas, not to say about villages, but in small towns, like 1/3 of the population of the country lives in small towns, yes? So not everyone lives in big cities. Unfortunately, there's no problem with the amount of screens in cities like Kiev or Odessa, but for example, a city like Lviv, which is very culturally important, there is no really even an art house cinema there. That's a problem.
This is another thing I wanted to get back also, that when we distribute our films, so our collection of shorts, I also saw that there is not so many cinemas in only big cities, and I think that Docudays has the same story, that we are doing the screenings in the cinema clubs or something. Yes. So this is the way we produce, this is the way we distribute, because they are putting the screen, some projection, and this is the way it works with the digital copy.
Yes, for example, we will have now the such festival is the Open Night Film Festival, which is a national film festival. It shows short films, also documentaries. And this year it lasts for one June night, from dusk till dawn, open air, and this year it will have 50 locations all over the country, and also abroad, like 10 of them will be international locations.
I heard our bells to tell us that we have to end in a moment, but someone put their hand up, so we'll take a final question.
Thanks again. Hi. I just wanted to go back a bit to the international distribution, and I want to pick up a couple of points. Recently, and I mean the last couple of years, we had examples like The Russian Woodpecker, which I saw in Sundance, the premiere that it had there, and it had this extraordinary reaction from everyone, and then the Q&A was very long, and people were so interested and so into it, and it ended up winning the award for best, I think, the audience award. And then, of course, we had something like The Tribe, which I was in the premiere of the London Film Festival, and it became, everyone was just stunned into silence by this film. The same reaction in Greece, by the way, one of the best films of the year, so they were just blown away. And yet, I picked up something that Serhiy said early on, that when he was speaking about your upcoming film, the one that you're developing about your mother.
Yep.
And you said something like, I'm not sure if the European audience will relate to it, or if you said something like, I'm not sure if it will relate to European audiences. So my question is, from your feedback and from what's happening in the last few years, how do you think that international audiences react to Ukrainian films? Particularly documentaries, because it's a very peculiar time, but also fiction films.
Actually, let's filmmakers' perspective.
Oh, it's a complicated subject, you know, very, very complicated. I guess it's easier to RT channel or ZDF channel to send the journalist or film crew to Ukraine. It's easier for them to do some documentary than to do something in co-production, because it's absolutely another point of view, another stylistic, another reflection. And today I know situation a little bit in European media, and mostly geopolitical films, artistic slots less and less. And I don't know, really. I don't know. To be honest, we can propose only equipment, assistance, research, and something like this. It's, I haven't seen, to be honest, the positive way to do some co-production, you know. It's my point of view, it's not.
Valentyn, because even though The Tribe is a narrative film, if you watch his work, it has such a strong documentary aesthetic. His response to the international response to his film, because what's amazing is that everyone has engaged with it. And it seems to speak to everyone, even if no one speaks.
Ну, если ты показываешь необычное, качественное кино, интересное, ну, всегда отношения, вообще, ну, зритель всегда заинтересован и дает какие-то там позитивные фидбэки.
When you show unusual but quality film, the audiences doesn't matter where they are, they actually respond quite positively.
Относительно Трайба,
As for Tribe,
относительно Трайба в Каннах мы получили сразу 3 приза, и когда жюри после вручения общалась с нами, они говорят, что у нас, в общем, никаких проблем не было, мы сразу приняли решение. То есть я к чему? Я к тому, что там какое-нибудь там новаторство, там интересная история, там интересным языком рассказывана, она будет тут же оценена, и, в принципе, неважно, там идет в стране война или не идет, в первую очередь зрители все-таки ценят как бы не бэкграунд, а сам фильм.
So, in Cannes, I just want to give you a little illustration. In Cannes, we received 3 prizes right away, and when we talked to the jury panel, they said that they didn't have any problem in deciding. And what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't matter if there is a war in the country. If you tell a good story and you bring a little bit of innovation and it's to it, and it's a quality picture, it doesn't matter what happens in the background. The story will be accepted.
С одной стороны.
It's a kind of a positive side of things, yeah.
Вот. С другой стороны, понятно, что политические события привлекают внимание там всего мира, и это дает возможность нам производить фильмы на эту тему и, в общем-то, показывать.
Another aspect of it, of course, you cannot avoid the media coverage of the political situation in Ukraine, and of course it allows the filmmakers within Ukraine to film to film the events, and in response to kind of a demand, from Europe and the West to hear what's happening within the country.
Судьба фильма документального «Крепюскул», вот который фрагмент вы только что видели, очень сложно фильм продвигается на фестивале, ну, его как почему-то неохотно берут, но потом, когда видят где-то на другом фестивале, приглашают уже дальше. То есть все мои попытки его там при помощи рассылок, ну, так сказать, показать на фестивалях, они, в общем-то, в большинстве случаев заканчивались неудачей, но потом люди, видя фильм на каком-то фестивале, там в Одессе, еще где-то, они потом сами его приглашают, и такая достаточно растянутая в истории, во времени история, но удачная, она еще продолжается.
Another example is about my documentary film, the little clip you just saw. The story behind that film is actually quite difficult because when I would send the information and the clip around the festivals, they would be quite reluctant to select it. However, when they would see it at the festival someplace, this is when the requests started coming, and the story follows now. I mean, still is on.
I think I'm getting a signal that unfortunately we are going to have to come to an end for the next session to start. Sorry about that. Thank you very much to Anna and also Christine Bardsley of the British Council for organising this event with Sheffield Doc Fest. But most of all, can you please join me in thanking our guests here?